The topic of today is incubator, angel investor, venture capital and private equity fund. All these buzzwords are there as a part of entrepreneurship development. Now coming on to the conceptual framework of what business incubator is all about. The business incubator is a unique and highly flexible combination of the business development process, infrastructure and the people designed to nurture new and business by helping them to survive and grow through a very difficult and vulnerable early stages of development. Now see, when you talk about initially when you start up your business, there are lot of hiccups which are associated and linked with this aspect. The business incubator is a unique and highly flexible combination of the business development process, infrastructure and business designed to nurture new and a small business by helping them to survive and grow through a difficult and vulnerable early stages of development. Now, the incubator for startups. What are incubators for startups? A startup incubator is a collaborative program designed to help a new startup succeed. The sole purpose of a startup incubator is to help the entrepreneurs grow their business. And of course, when you talk about a startup incubator, they are usually non-profit organizations which are usually run by both public and private entities. The business incubators are those organizations which are conceptualized to accelerate the growth and success of the entrepreneurial companies by providing the entrepreneurial work to them for a portfolio of the business support services, which could also comprise of the capital, mentoring, coaching, counseling, the physical space, network connection, etc. Now, what is an incubator center? For many startup companies, a business incubator may make the ideal initial location, and these business incubators are the ones which combine the low cost and flexible rental space with other business support services to small businessmen incubator goal, and of course it is to nurture the young companies during the goal and is to nurture the young companies during the volatile startup period and to help them to survive until they are strong enough to go out of their own. So basically the incubator center extends a beautiful support to the initial startups, and of course for those people who are there always, and a part of it they need a support. So for the startups and for the initial hiccups and to take care of the volatile atmosphere, the incubators are there to help these firms. Now, most of the business incubators, they host a diverse range of companies, including the business focused on technologies. There are also some shared business incubators which provide the basic amenities to run a small business like telephone services, the secret all services, computer hardware, software, management consulting services, access to finance, arranging for meeting services, etc. Now these services, they save a new startup and a small business a lot of finance fortunes which can be invested in other strategic areas. The entrepreneurs can then specifically focus on getting their product, services to market rather than searching for the resources they need to build their own companies. Now, what is a business incubation? A business incubator is a program basically to design to accelerate a successful development of entrepreneurial companies through an array of the business support resources and services. So, when you talk about a business incubation, there are a lot of support services which are extended to the business, and it's a program for their successful development and the development of an entrepreneurial companies. So, they are basically a support service, they are basically a kind of an enveloping aspect which takes care of their problems, which takes care of their smooth entrepreneurial development, and of course, to give them an array of the business support services and resources to them. Now, what is a business incubation? The developed or orchard by the incubator management and offered both in the incubator and though is a network of its contacts. A business incubator is not, of course, a cheap rent and a way to use the old building. Now we are coming on to a very different aspect of today's lecture, that is the history of business incubation. Now this is a particular term which is very less known to people. So we will be talking now on the history of the business incubations. The formal concept of the business incubation began in the year 1959 in USA, when Joseph Macanzo opened a Batao Industrial Center at Batavia, New York. The warehouse incubation expanded in the US in the year 1980 and to spread in UK and the Europe through the various related forms, for example, the innovation centers, of course, the telepoles and the science parks. Now, what are the type of services which are offered? Since the startup companies, they lack many resources, experience and the network, incubators, they provide the services which help them to get through the initial hurdles in starting up of a business. These hurdles include the space, funding, legal, accounting, computer services and other prerequisites to running the business. Now, what are the different type of services which are a part of the business incubations? Now, among the most common incubators services are first is to help with the business basics, that is there are certain services which are required as a part of the business and we call it as a business services which are called as the business basics. So, definitely the business basics are provided by the incubation centers. Then you need the networking activities also. The networking activities are most important. The marketing assistance, the market research, the high speed internet access which help with the accounting, financial management. The access to the bank loans, funds and the guarantee programs, they help with the presentation skills, the link to the higher education resources, the access to the angel investor or the venture capital, the comprehensive business training programs, the advisory board and the mentors, the management team identification which help with the business etiquettes, the technology commercialization assistance which help with the regulatory compliance, and of course, the intellectual property management. Now, if you see the type of services which are on your screens, the first is a target market, then we have a entry criteria followed by incubation, then we have the exit criteria. For the graduates, we take care of the aftercare, then for incubation we offer the technology support, the financial support, the business advice, the training programs, etc. So, this is a physical space and a particular networks. Now, coming on to the type of services, there are number of business incubators that have focused on a particular industries or on a business model, the earning them their own names, the virtual business incubators, online business incubators, the kitchen incubators, business incubators focused on the food industry. Now, what is a public incubator? A business incubator focused on the public goods. The seed accelerators are business incubators focused on the early startups. The corporate accelerators, a program of a larger company that acts akin to a seed accelerator, the startup studios, the business incubators with interacting portfolio companies. Now, what are the types of the services which are being offered here? We will talk about now the hybrid incubator. What is a hybrid incubator? As the name suggests, a business incubator that combines the virtual incubators with the on-premise activities. So, industry sector intentionally supported by the incubator programs are as follows. So, see on your screens, the first is your computer software, followed by the technology, then we have the services or the professional, followed by manufacturing, internet, biosciences, life sciences, electronics, microelectronics, telecommunications, computer hardware, the medical devices. So, these are all a part of the incubator programs internationally supported. Then we have the e-business or e-commerce, the creative industries, the wireless technology, the healthcare technology, advanced material, defense, homeland security, energy power, environmental clean technologies, logistics delivery and nanotechnology. Then we have the arts, constructions, aerospace, kitchen food, retail, fashion, wood forestry, tourism, manpower and media. Now we have industry sector intentionally supported by the incubation programs. More than half of all the business incubation programs are mixed use projects, meaning they work with the list of the business incubators. The following is a complete list of notable companies well known as business incubators. Then we have a Sunshine Brown business incubators as an example. The industry sector intentionally supported by the incubation programs are as follows. The Technology Business Incubator TBI NITC. Then we have Nation Venture Accelerator, St. John Innovation Center, C4DI, that is a Center for Digital Innovation, Campus Blarion, Code Launch. The corporate accelerator clients from the wallet of the industries. The technology incubators accounts for 39% of the incubation programs. Now we are coming on to a very pertinent topic, the role and the functions of business incubators. The first is a shared basic cost of operations. Being in the umbrella of the business incubator implies that you share a wide range of overhead costs such as the utilities, the office equipment, computer service, conference rooms, labs, etc. Normally, the rent cost is below than expected as an entrepreneur, and you ought to realize the additional saving affiliated with some cost in the case of incubators. Then the second is a free consultation and administrative assistance. In the incubation centers, most employer and employees are individuals who are experienced and very learned. As an entrepreneur, when your idea makes to the incubation center, you are assured of the critical information and advice from your own team. The incubators managers and the staff managers can provide the insightful advice on the broad spectrum of the business issues, from the marketing, business expansion for the financing part. Now coming on to the role and the functions of the business incubator, the third function we are talking about now is the access to capital. Now the fact that an incubator has credited your business means that it is an all attract the potential investors and build their confidence in your idea. The incubator owners and directors, they provide the seed capital access by assisting the entrepreneurs in beginning of federal grants, the preparing the financial proposals, then obtaining the royalty financing among the others. The fourth important function of the role and the functions of the business incubator is all about the exposures. The business incubators, they gather the entrepreneurial under one roof. This creates a dynamic where the entrepreneurs encourage each other in their endeavors, sharing the information on the related subject, establish a strong network that will serve them for the years together. The environment full of the agile youths, challenge and the self-motivation encourages the entrepreneur to become the president and of course be focused. Then we have the aura of credibility. It goes without saying that the entrepreneurs whose business makes into the incubation centers are likely to prosper more they acquire the legitimacy among both vendors and customers. A business incubator is a company that will help the new and the startup companies to develop by providing the services such as the management, training or the office space. Then however, many research and the technology parks house incubation programs. Incubators also differ from the US, and in the business world, the incubator is an enterprise that is to set up to provide the office space, equipments and sometimes the mentoring assistance and of course the capital to the new business that are just getting started. The term is very familiar and similar to the poultry farming where an incubator is a specially designed equipment home for the baby chickens. The business incubator programs are often sponsored by the private companies or municipal entities and the business institutions such as the colleges and the universities. Their particular goal is to help by providing them with the necessary support and the financial and the technical services. The incubator in biology, an incubator is a device used to grow and maintain a microbiological culture or the cell cultures. The incubators maintain the optimal temperature, humidity and other conditions such as the carbon dioxide, that is CO2, oxygen content and the atmosphere inside. The definition of the business incubator for the startup incubator, according to the Entrepreneurial Encyclopedia, it is an organization designed to accelerate the growth and success of the entrepreneurial companies through an array of the business support, business resources, services that could include the physical space and the capital, the coaching, the common services, the networking connections. They are often sponsored by the private companies or the municipal entities, the public institutions such as the colleges and the universities. Now we are coming on to the reasons of why to join the business incubators. There is a seal of approval. When you are nobody, it's good to be associated with somebody. And as an incubator, the company is a very prestigious institution. When you go out to look for the partners, the clients, the capital, you can always set aside some credentials. The people will know that you have gone through a selection process and that are capable enough to enter the incubator. So there are certain guidelines, there are certain selection criteria to be a part of the incubator. So if you have done that, people will have a kind of a feel that yes, you are already a part of the incubator. That means you have already gone through the selection process to be a part of the incubator. Now while hopefully understanding that you are still a startup, they will not have more confidence in and your ability to commit and deliver that if you are unknown and unaffiliated. So it is better to be affiliated to someone than to be unaffiliated to no one. Then the second reason why you join the business incubator is as follows. The second is you need the administrative support. May not seem as much, but when you are only a couple of people or worse, a lone wolf, it is very important to have the accessible support to mundane and not too mundane the task. So, you have more than time to focus on the important stuff than anything else. You want to spend as much as time as possible to develop your business ideas and the business overall. The admin support which you will get usually come in the form of common assistants, interns, that is especially if the incubator is related to a university, the affordable bookkeeping, the CPA, the legal services, the well support access to the business office gadgets and the particular supplies. So, when you talk about all these array of services together, we call it as a business or the administrative assistance which are provided by the business incubators. The third reason to join the business incubator is about the facilities. The good incubators offers nice enough office services with the common meeting rooms, professional atmosphere, certainly much more than your own bedroom or the garage. This come in a handy way when you need to meet the clients and a partner or interview the candidates. So, here you are always getting a ready-made stuff in a plate, so that whenever you have any kind of a meeting with your clients, your business purposes, your business associates, it is very easy for you to conduct any such kind of meetings. Then of course, it is also good for the entrepreneur's morale, and of course, it is able to get much more work done after walking into the decent office, a nice building surrounded by other entrepreneurs, and of course, then working from home. So, when you join a business incubator, then of course, you are away from home, you are already into a professional place, you feel good to be and linked to be associated to be a part of this incubator, because it is good to be linked with someone than with no one, and of course, you will be getting a ready-made meeting rooms, the ready-made business atmosphere, wherein there are a lot of office equipments lying down, there is a formal atmosphere, you are surrounded by nice work culture with the good entrepreneurs working, and of course, walking in a decent office with a nice building and linked with so many good stuff. So, of course, these things are better than to work, and to work of course than from home. So, all these reasons are, I think, good enough for you to join a business incubator. And of course, the incubators usually offers a very flexible and affordable rent and utilities, which you would find elsewhere than your own. The next most important reason for you to join a business incubator is a cross fertilization. Being close to other entrepreneurs is great. You are able to interact with the like-minded people, most of them upon whom you are going through some of the same issues and are facing. You share the tips and experiences. The startups and incubators tend to help each other out, often engage in partnerships and become each other's clients. So, there is a cross fertilization, means there is a change of thoughts, there is a change of the mindsets, and when you talk to each other, you are talking your problems, you are trying to solve it, you are interacting with them. So, if you are facing any problems, if you come out and share your experiences with the other people will have a standard and a ready-made advice for you that how you can overcome. So, this is a kind of a win-win situation for both the clients, and because you are into a cross fertilization exchange of ideas, which is definitely good for each one of you and for each clients who are participating in the cross fertilization talks. Now, I did business with two fellow incubated companies at a very, there is an example which we are sharing here. I did the business with two fellow incubated companies. At the very least, at the end of the day, you feel you are not alone, And of course, if your incubator is affiliated with a university or a company, you may develop a fruitful research and the development partnerships, and you have then access to a great talent. The mentorship and the professional services. The incubators are the catalyst for the mentors and of course for the consultants. I was often approached by people wanting to help, some for free, some for equity and some for fees. Not all the help is the same, of course, and in most of the cases I passed, but one can find specialized more easily than if you are working alone. So, if there are so many good reasons to find yourself to be as a part and linked with the business incubators, it would help you in admin services, it would help in the marketing service, it would help you in these, the best professional advice ever you could get from anyone else. You can do the business with them, you can link up with them, you can hitch with them, and of course, the results are definitely very good. They are specialized, and you will always feel happy, good to be part of the incubator partner. Then you are coming on to the incubator managers. They are usually have to, Rolodex with the contacts of the designers, the marketing specialists, the tape flocks, engineers, coders, etc., who worked for the previous incubated companies and are just a one call away. The next is your access to capital. All types of early stage investors, that is the angels, the seed funds, the venture capital, they have their radars and incubators, especially the ones with a successful record of the spinning good companies. Incubated business are often approached by the investors either one or at pitching or at the entrepreneurial events. The incubators, they usually do a good job of opening your eyes to funding the opportunities you never knew existed, including the government and the small business grants and the specialized loans. My first company earned a large government grant from the Brazilian government thanks to the hint we got from the Genesis, and their help is filing out of the forms. Then we have another reasons for the business incubator joining, that is the connectivity. Besides connecting with your fellow incubated companies and adjacent resources, there are several national, regional and even the global incubator networks and the programs such as the Brazil and Protec and the World Bank's Global InfoDev. This means that if you need to internationalize your business, find strategic partners in different countries and the benchmarks experiences, being an incubator can also be very useful. Then of course, don't expect miracles. The success of your business ultimately depends on your own company developing products and the services. The people care about your ability to adapt and innovate. And also, if you join an incubator, don't necessarily take all the advice you get at face value. The people are just people. Some are moving insightful than others, and not all incubators attract the best talent. But if you are starting out, that's definitely a good place to consider. Now we are moving on to a role of an incubator. The business incubators support the development of the startups by providing them with the advisory and administrative support services. According to the National Business Incubation Association, an incubator primary objective is to produce the business and financially viable firms that can survive on their own. Early incubators focused on the technology companies or on a combination of the industrial and the service companies, but never incubators work with the companies from the diverse industries. The first role of an incubator is finance. The incubators, they help startups save on operating cost, the business that are definitely a part. If the incubator can share the same facilities and share on the overhead expenses such as the utilities, office equipment rentals, and of course the receptionist services. Now we have startups can also take the complete advantage of the lower lease rates. If the incubator is located in a low rent industrial parks, incubators may also help the startups with their financing needs by rendering them with the angel investors, all venture capitals, and help them with the presentations. The startups may often better luck financing if they have the stamp of the approval of incubator programs. The next is your management. In addition to the financial help, the start tips also need guidance on how to compete successfully with the established industry players. The incubators can also tap into their networks of experienced entrepreneurs and the retired executives who can provide the management guidance and operational assistance. For example, a biotechnology startup would benefit from the counsel of retired pharmaceutical executives who have first-hand experience of the drug development and the clinical approval process. Similarly, a restaurant entrepreneur could learn about the difficulties of overseas expansion, how retired hospitality industry executives are. The startup usually benefit from having a respected individuals on their board of directors, specify the advisory panels, because these industries bring invaluable connections and experience on the table. The third role of incubator is synergy. The close working relationship between an incubator startup create synergies. Even after the startup leave an incubator, the connections and the network established through these relationships can definitely endure for a longer time. The startup entrepreneurs can provide an encouragement to one another, and employees may share the ideas on the new approaches to the old problems. The startup may plan joint marketing campaigns, cooperate on the product development initiatives. These synergies do not necessarily exist among the startup funded by venture capitalists, because as Kenneth Liss points out in a March 2000 Harvard Business School, the working knowledge article, the companies that receive the funds, they do not necessarily know one another, and they may be located in a different geographic locations. Next, we have economy. By helping the new business prosper, incubators assist in creating a long-lasting jobs for their host communities. In the March 2003 Association for the Small Business and Entrepreneurship Conference paper hosted by the University of the Central Arkansas Small Business Advancement National Center, Northwestern Oklahoma University, the Wilbur and her colleagues cited the research to write about the startups in the incubation programs. They have a greater viability and show the superior financial support over a longer period of time. They create the long-lasting jobs for the new graduates, experienced mid-career personnel, the veteran executives, and this benefits communities and drives the economic growth. Now, the functions of the incubators. It provides the startup companies with the tools, executive mentorship, operational support to be successful. The cube operated by the innovation cluster is of course the Petersburg's first and only full service incubator and accelerator. Then of course, it provides with the office space. The GIPs provide the startup companies with the often open concept of the office space with all the necessary office supplies to get more business running up, and of course for the running. Having office space to be a necessary office supplies, they run your business in a very extremely important and successful of any kind of a business. Then of course, cheaper is the next aspect. The business incubations can also help in reducing the cost of launching and startup by 40 to 50%. The innovation cluster provides the startup companies with open concept of a space with the internet access for little to do no charge. Renting of a space cannot be one of the largest expenses for any kind of a business. More funding, investment opportunities. The innovation cluster offers the clients access to more funding opportunities from many different outlets. Our staff is educated and equipped to help the funding opportunities and help the clients apply for them. Then we have additionally the innovation cluster allows the business to meet the potential private investors from within the Peterborough company community via other partners at the Peterborough region angel networks. The fun fact: an established 40% of the investment seeking member companies, they source the investment through a direct incubator program connections. Not only this, we are able to focus on the core business. Having this business infrastructure in place and availability and providing the business services and experts, they allow us for the startups to focus on what matters the most, the core business products. The startup can only focus their time and energy on creating, evolving, testing their products. Then we have the access to mover and shaker networking. Having access to mover and shaker networking, being able to tap up into a strong network of the business partners and investor allows for startup business to network and network basically productively. The innovation center is very evolved within the Peterborough companies and community and beyond. Just check out your knowledge partners. The PR and the marketing help. Being a part of the group of the companies, they help traction and step into the spotlight, the innovation cluster, and the fast start having a strong following. The startup companies are able to reap the benefits of being promoted by the organization, not to mention expert PR and marketing advice for their brands. Being with other tech startup business, the innovation cluster, incubations and accelerator known as CUBE is home to many startups, which is definitely not a small thing. Being a part of the support system where you can learn from each other mistakes, Trumps allows you to better succeed and creates the bonds and the friendships that are of course everlasting. The support from the mentors with the street credentials, the cred. Our mentors have been very successful entrepreneurs, therefore you can learn and hear the first hand about their personal experiences and learn from their do's and don'ts. Now we are on to the knowledge partners. We help with the business basics including the marketing, accounting, presentation skills, legal guidance, insurance, finance, business resources, and the list moves on and on. Now the access to the workshops and the business trainings. Through the innovation cluster resources and the staff, you are able to get hands-on training knowledge from some of the best minds in the Peterborough areas. Now we are coming to another aspect called angel investor. An angel investor, also known as a business angel, informal investor, angel funder, private investor and or a seed investor. He is an affluent individual who provides the capital for business startups, usually in exchange for convertible debentures or the ownership equity. The angel investor, basically in a small startup or in entrepreneurs, often the angel investors are among an entrepreneur's family and friends. The capital angel investors provide many a one-time investment to help the business propel or an ongoing injections of the money to support and carry a company through its difficult early stages. An angel investor, of course, is a person who invests in a company's venture, providing capital for the startups or the expansion. The angel investors are typically individuals who have space, cash availability, and are looking for a higher rate of return that would be gained by more traditional investments, typically in and out of the looks for about 25% or more. Now, we are coming on to the definitional aspect of an angel investment. An angel investment is a form of equity financing. Basically, the investor supplies funding is exchanged for taking an equity position in the company. The equity financing is normally used by non-established business that do not have any kind of sufficient cash flow or collateral with which one is to secure the business loans from the business institutions. The angel investors are perceived as basically the filling the gap, of course, and between the small scale financing provided by the family or the friends and the venture capitalist. The big advantage financing your business angel investment is much less risky than the debt financing. Unlike a loan, invested capital does not have to be paid back in the event of the business failures, and most of the angel investors, they understand the business and take a longer term on it, and that is why they are called as angels, because they never take back. The primary disadvantage of taking the investor is a loss of complete control. As a part owner, the investor has a say in how the business is to be run and will receive a portion of the profits when the business is sold out. With the debt financing, the lending institution has no control over the operations of the company and takes away a share of the profits. Now, we are moving on to the advantages of a business angel. The advantages of a business angel funding for your business can be as follows. The business angels are free to make the investment decisions very quickly. No need for collateral, that is the personal assets. Access to your basically the investor sector knowledge and contacts. The advantages and the disadvantages of the angel investors are as follows. The better discipline to outside security and scrutiny, access to business angels, mentoring or management skills, no repayments or interest, and the disadvantage of the business angel is as follows. Not suitable for the investments which are less. It takes a longer find to a suitable business angel, and giving up a share of your own business, and less structural support available for the business angels than to any of the investment companies. The angel investments normally come from the family and the friends. Now, this is far for the most common source of the funding for the business startups and the only option for many. Now, given the high rate of failure with the new business, it is also the rate of failures of the business, and it is also risky in terms of the possible impact on the family friends relationship. And if the business is not successful at all, it is important to be at the upfront about keeping the risk of the failures. Now, what are the sources of the angel investors? The first is your wealthy individuals. One of the major sources of the angel investors is your wealthy individuals, such as the successful businessmen, doctors, lawyers, etc., and such have a relative high net worth, which is of course exuberant, and individual agent investors can be very difficult to find out, and often this is done by the word of mouth through the business associates or the associations such as the local chamber of the commerce. Then we have the various groups. It becomes increasingly common for the angels to create a part of the angel syndicate, and the investor contribute funds to a syndicate and the professional syndicate management team chosen for the investments. And how to find an investment, angel investment, gives some of the examples and of the Canadian angel groups. Then the third is your crowdfunding. A form of an online group investing. Crowdfunding involves raising the funding by having a large group of individuals managing the company, because he or she is interested in adding value to the company, and it is important for the angel investors to be very clear about what the investor is bringing to the deal, business, money, and of course to develop an understanding what the angel investors would like to work with. So, the Rajan Andanan has been very active angel investors in India, Sri Lanka and US. He is being very famous and he is being very kind, and he has invested in many of the Indian startup, including the Capillary, Dhruva, Visix, etc. The Rajan has a managing director of the Microsoft India prior to Google, and his leadership and the guidance helped the Microsoft became the highest performing subsidiary for the Microsoft. So, you have to now talk about the breaking down the angel investors. Angel investors provide more favorable terms compared to the other lenders. They are focused with the startups, and of course, some angel investors invest about crowdfunding platforms online and build the networks to avoid a pool as far as the funding is concerned. With these words, I thank you so much for listening to this interesting topic. Thank you so much.